Here, wait. Get a good shot,
It's a good shot.
Hello, I'm here. There was an anti-mask rally, and we were going to come do an all-gas, no-brakes-esque interview with them. But then we realized it's probably like a petri dish of COVID and probably other diseases too. And also, we're not all gas, no brakes, and we would just be ripping him off. So instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Breath of the Wild lore for you. 100 years prior to the events of Breath of the Wild, there's this thing called the Great Calamity, where Ganon attacks Hyrule, and he takes over Hyrule Castle. Now, Zelda, in an effort to stop Calamity Ganon, uses a spell of time to freeze Ganon and his creatures in Hyrule Castle. Now, once they're in Hyrule Castle, they're locked, kind of like if you've seen Doctor Strange, how Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to lock Dormammu into like an eternal battle that repeats every time that it ends. That's Zelda and Ganon. Now, Link awakens 100 years later and must regain the powers of the four champions to attack Ganon. Now, throughout the game, he goes to these shrines, which were built eons ago. They don't really give an exact year as far as I know, but they're ancient. And the implication is also that this is at the end of the Zelda timeline. Now, the Zelda timeline, as you know, is questionable at best. It begins with Skyward Sword. It branches off into three paths. For example, there's kind of the Timeline of Time, which is the Ocarina of Time timeline. But in other lore, there are other timelines like the Wind Waker timeline, which is kind of the Toon Link timeline, which has Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. And that is, I believe, in a timeline where Ganon wins because Hyrule becomes flooded. And then on to Spirit Tracks, Hyrule is no longer flooded. Anyways, back to Breath of the Wild. Link is eventually able to regain the Master Sword after getting 13 hearts. And he is able to, and you don't have to get all the Divine Beasts. Those are like the mechanical champions. But if you do get all the Divine Beasts, you can shoot them at Ganon, and the lasers will kind of hurt him and take down his first phase, and then you go to Hyrule Castle, take him down for the final boss fight. But when you win the game, because when you beat him, his spell is undone and Hyrule is restored, the game kind of loops back to prior to him being there, if you catch my drift, because the world will look completely different. No one really knows what the world's going to look like in the untitled sequel to Breath of the Wild, but we will find out when Nintendo gives us more information, probably at E3 this year, I would assume. In the last Direct, they kind of played coy. They said, we don't have enough to show you right now. I am assuming that in the E3 presentation, if they do one because of the coronavirus, they did do one last year, like a digital thing. They really only do digital presentations nowadays, but yeah, I have a feeling that the untitled sequel to Breath of the Wild will be something very, very special.